Hey folks. From wrecked carriages buried in the mud, to hollowed out homes standing still in nature, the Kingdom of Hyrule has a lot of lost history for us to discover. World lore and environmental details are one of my favourite parts of Zelda games, whether it's fun nods from the developers or mysterious stories hidden within ruins. It's all so fascinating to me, and I love exploring this world to find more and more. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at some of Hyrule's forgotten unmarked ruins. Destroyed settlements, outposts, and landmarks across the kingdom that aren't named as a location, but they're there. There are surprisingly quite a few, all with interesting details surrounding them, so let's do some lore diving and story speculating and take a look. Be sure to go and grab yourself a snack and or drink, and settle in as we explore Hyrule's forgotten, unmarked locations. Starting in the nearby northwest of Hyrule in Rowan Plain, we can find multiple ruined buildings across this large field. What appears to have once been homes, now ruins. They're all a little isolated, standing still on their own, just sharing the large plain. Prior to the Great Calamity of a little over 100 years ago now, these homes would have been peaceful little places for people to live. The location isn't exactly in a busy place. There was once upon a time a stable just beside them. However, the Serene Stable, now the New Serene Stable, relocated a little more centrally down the main path which flows through here, leaving this empty ring of trees for us to pass by. I'm a bit of a speculator and would guess that these small isolated homes across the field were inhabited by one or two people at most. Couples or individuals living a quiet life. To be quite frank, that thought makes me a little jealous. There is also a chance there was at some point in time a little bit of agriculture or general farming done in this area. We find the odd fencing dotted around, which looks similar to that used in the fencing to contain animals, potentially also crops. We really cannot say if this was ever considered a settlement, and I doubt it was due to how spread out things are. However, there are settlement features such as a couple of wells in the area to provide water. We can also find the Marita Exchange ruins further down the path near that previously mentioned ring of trees. Perhaps before the calamity wiped out these homes, there was a lot more people passing by. Unfortunately, like many small settlements and locations, these homes of Rowan Plain were destroyed, and although there is a Bolson construction site in the area, it's unlikely this location will return to its previous small population anytime soon. Moving a bit further south takes us to Lake Illumeni, a very quiet and tucked away lake surrounded by immense amounts of nature. It's a very beautiful location in itself, and it actually happens to also be a former home. Right next to the small lake, we can find three very closely packed buildings, with another just round the corner. They're built within the trees and it creates a really nice vibe. We can also find this little shelter by the lake, which was probably used for some sort of, shelter. The thing I find fascinating about these unmarked ruins is how out of the way and hidden they are. Lake Illumeni is a really tucked away location not connected to any main paths. In fact, the nearest one is all the way over here on the map. So whoever lived here lived a very quiet and peaceful life. Once again, I am jealous. The general location has a wonderful mix of grassy fields, forest trees, and lively wildlife. It's such a raw place to be. Whoever lived here might have had some sort of environmental focused job. Now, of course we don't know the ins and outs of Hylian work life, but it's safe to assume that there were a wide variety of jobs and roles outside of the commonly seen farmers, knights, and shop owners. Perhaps whoever lived here tended to the wildlife and nature. Maybe they foraged and sold their hauls at the market. It's all highly speculative, but that's part of the fun for me. Given there are 3 buildings here, and one just beside them, I imagine a family lived here, with these 3 being the main home and this building here being more of a shed or something for storage. It's really sad that this unmarked ruin fell, as considering how out of the way it is, it's surprising the effects of the Great Calamity actually got to it, whether that was guardians or monsters. It's upsetting to know that such a beautiful place has fallen into ruin. If you're like me and enjoy just exploring the Kingdom of Hyrule, I'd highly recommend coming here and checking out the area. Just be careful, as there is currently a Lionel just up the hill. Switching sides of the kingdom, we look to the eastern shoreline by Tarm Point. A rather mysterious unmarked ruin can be found here. These pillars stand tall at the point by the seaside, as well as a cave below which expands the ruins and opens up even more questions as to what these ruins are. We don't find much around them, well, other than a little Korok. Drop a wee like down below for the little Korok folks. Anyway, why are these specific ruins found here, but not marked as anything? They look very significant. Why can they be found underground surrounding a Zonai shrine? It's a little odd, and admittedly different from the other unmarked ruins already discussed, but this just caught my eye, as the design of these ruins are, like I said, fairly significant. We see the same design in other locations such as the ancient columns, as well as very closely appearing like the stone found in the springs. Those locations are fairly significant, and rightfully marked as something despite being in ruin. So why is this one just nothing? We can find something similar a little further north, right here in the Akala region as well. It's also completely unmarked and unexplained. In the previous game Breath of the Wild, there was a Sheikah ball placed here as part of a shrine quest, so not too different to how these ruins surround a little puzzle to get to this Zonai shrine. Is there perhaps a connection with the shrines in these ruins? Maybe, but we cannot say that for sure. It's an odd unmarked ruin. The underground section does extend throughout the entire cave and looks a little all over the place in certain areas. Maybe there was once a much larger structure here, spanning across this entire area, above and below. But time has not been so kind to it. What was this structure of the past, now lost and half collapsed into the ground? Not too far from Hyrule Castle itself lies a set of ruins, now unmarked in Tears of the Kingdom. Bare and empty, but yet mysterious as what was this once fairly large structure? I say now unmarked, as they were actually marked in Breath of the Wild. The ancient lab ruins can be found right here on the map, and span out across a fair bit of land. As I said, they were previously a marked ruin, but seem to have lost that identity a few years down the line in this game, Tears of the Kingdom. I wanted to include this location as I find it a little odd that the name was removed from the map. Why is this? Well, it could be that perhaps the knowledge of what these ruins once were has actually faded out of memory. Or at least to enough people that it's just not known now. Whilst that's a really cool piece of world development if so, it is a little sad to know that it's fading from memory. We do get a brief look at this place in its prime through the Age of Calamity spin-off. The structure had a large central area and then a wide border around it, all lit with the special blue flame that powers Sheikah tech. It's always a shame to see the results of what the Great Calamity did. And it's just that little bit more sad here, knowing the name of this place may be fading from memory. Our final location for today's video takes us to the Popla Foothills. An easy to miss crevice tucked into the cliffside that surrounds Dea village and lake. Up here we can find the remains of 2 homes, a carriage half buried into the ground, and a well. First of all, what's a carriage doing up here? Second of all, there is no name for this place. It doesn't appear to be part of Dea village, as it's not connected in any way. In fact, this little nook is quite inaccessible. Even in Breath of the Wild, there was no names or hints around what this little area was. Well, we can assume it was home for somebody, probably multiple people given there are 2 buildings, but I can't wrap my head around how this was accessed. I suppose that could just be left down to a good old bit of video game logic, but it still bothers me. An interesting thing to consider here is that due to the effects of the upheaval, a cave is opened up right next to these ruins. Even more interesting, the cave contains Zonai ruins. It isn't just a regular cave. Could there perhaps be some sort of connection here? I honestly cannot think of any other reason to have a house in this odd spot. But then again, I bet it would be nice being so away from everybody. For the 3rd time in this video, I am jealous. Why did I do this to myself? If you explore beneath the well up here, you can find one of those mysterious cooking journals, but not much more. Off towards the edge, there is also a Korok looking to be reunited with his friend. Hi buddy. But aside from all of that, I am lost as to what this little location was. I suppose it could be considered part of Dea Village, but it's not really part of it if you ask me. It's just up here with no way to access it other than climbing or dropping down, which just isn't practical. It's unmarked, now in complete ruin, and we're left with no answers. Those are some of Hyrule's forgotten unmarked ruins. I always love making world lore videos, as there is just so much to uncover, speculate and talk about just in the environment alone. There's so much we just don't know answers to and have to speculate these sort of stories on. I find it so fascinating and I absolutely love it. What did you think of these locations, and are there any more you'd like to see me cover? Let me know in the comments down below. A massive thank you goes to my channel supporters for helping to make this video possible, with a very special fan-dabby-dozy shout out to new supporter, Lily. Thank you very much. If you'd be interested in financially backing the channel, which unlocks a few exclusive goodies, then consider becoming a supporter today, via the links below. Thank you all very much for watching. I can never express just how much it really means to me. I hope you all have an amazing rest of your day or night, and until the next time, I've been Hyrule Gamer.